What's up and welcome to another edition of Path Minutes. I hope I find you doing well on whatever day you're listening to this. And today, I want to talk about a saying that we have all heard probably 1,000 times. And that is, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And that saying used to sort of freak me out. And when I'd hear very successful people talk about it, my first instinct would be, okay, awesome. Well, you're super successful, so you get to spend time with all these other successful people. What am I supposed to do as just some guy in a cubicle? Or what am I supposed to do as just some average Joe? How do I get to hang out with these 5 amazing people that I'm going to become the average of? Here's the thing. It doesn't mean that you have to have 5 best friends who are all millionaires, billionaires, or whatever that may be. Here's 5 ways that you can start hanging out and becoming the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but doing it indirectly with the same effect. So number 1, listen to more podcasts, right? Listening to this. Podcasts like this, there's so many out there that are awesome. Some off the top of my head, the Tim Ferriss podcast. Joe Rogan has amazing discussions, and sometimes they're funny, but he'll have scientists on there, and it's a very different way of thinking. I love that one. The Humans 2.0 podcast with Mark Metry, which I had him on. Go listen to that if you haven't. But listen to podcasts. Keep that in your ear when you work out rather than spending time listening to music. Listen to a podcast every other day. Craig Ballantyne, Early to Rise Radio is his podcast. That's a really good one. But with podcasts, you can listen to them at almost every time or any time that you want. And then that's who you're hanging out with. You're hanging out with that host. You're hanging out with who they're interviewing. And you can listen and hang out with amazing people throughout your day. The second way, or number 2, read more books / listen to audiobooks. It's a great thing about today is you can listen to books now if you do hate to read, but I encourage you to do both. Read books that inspire you. I recently read, and I've talked about it a couple times, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, which is awesome. And there's so many great books out there. Use Google to your advantage. Google whatever topic you're interested in that's going to help you move towards your goal. Just Google top books and look at a couple lists and figure it out, or a couple top authors. And then also use it to your advantage with the audiobooks. So if you are working out, you can listen to an audiobook also. You see, you can, throughout your day, be hanging out with the author, with the host, with who they're interviewing. And that's who you're hanging out with the most, not your degenerate friend who you just see on Friday night, typically. You know? Number 3, use social media to your advantage. Social media is something that I have frowned upon for so long. I have typically thought it just brings out the worst in people, and it's always negative, and it is making people worse. But then once I recently started flipping the way I use it, now it's an amazing tool. What I found is if you go and find great people to follow, all of a sudden you start interacting with them, that's who shows up within your feed. On LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's pretty good in general, but there's people making amazing content out there. Instagram, there's so many different great people to follow. Again, just do some searches on Google, use it to your advantage. And once those start to be the people that you follow, now when you go on Instagram, it's people that are inspiring you, people that are putting out positive messages, helping you better yourself. Rather than going on and seeing Dale that you used to go to grade school with, super hot take, right? Just trying to get brownie points with people who think his way and then trying to rile up the other side. Who gives a shit about Dale's political opinion, right? And then eliminate that person. If they keep coming up on your feed, unfollow them. If someone is doing something that's going to add stress, because let's be honest, there are people when you go on social media that add stress, they piss you off. Just unfollow them. And I'm telling you, once you start following people that put out and give value every day and you start liking their stuff, leaving comments, Then you start to interact with other people that are in the same boat. And then all of a sudden you build up a feed where it's just awesomeness every time. So now I love going on social media. And of course I limit myself, but I swear to God, I get inspired when I go through my Instagram now. And follow me on Instagram on my new account. It's Sean_Seacrest. I'll put that in the show notes. But that is what I'm trying to do because I've realized how awesome it can be. So that is what I'm doing. I'm trying to provide value every day for you now on my Instagram. So use social media to your advantage. Get away from all the weirdos on there. Number 4, meet up events. If you live in any type of city, and now I'm sure even smaller towns too, but meetup.com, take advantage of this. There's meetups on topics you are interested in constantly. Go to them. Go do things by yourself and meet new people that are like-minded and trying to better themselves. Go to a conference on something you're interested in. These have profound effects on people. And you build relationships. That's the coolest part. You'll build new friendships, and then those are people you talk to on a regular basis. And then you follow them on social media and see what they're doing. And it keeps adding value. So go to things that interest you. Go to meetup events. Go to places that are going to inspire you to be better. Surround yourself with people that are going to make you be better and grow. Do you see what we're doing here? We're surrounding ourselves daily with goodness now. And it's not about the people you actually are physically hanging out with typically. It's being smart about it. And number 5, and I know this might be uncomfortable or sound weird, but once I got into the podcast space and the entrepreneurship space, hands down, one of my favorite things, and obviously when I interview people on the podcast, this is a great thing, but I can't tell you how many people I connect with on a regular basis that neither of us are being interviewed on each other's podcasts or whatever it may be, but I see someone or someone sees me and they simply are like, I like what they're up to. They're doing something cool. I want to connect with them. And then you just have these amazing conversations that start out, you don't know where they're going to go. Every time they turn out awesome because when someone's coming with a true curiosity and truly thinks what you're doing is very cool and they want to learn more about it, time after time turns into this great conversation and then this awesome relationship. So do that. When you see someone on LinkedIn, reach out to them that's doing something cool to say, hey, I like what you're up to. I want to reach out and connect. That can open up amazing doors and opportunities. But the best part is you just, again, are building that, surrounding yourself with people who are trying to better themselves. And when you talk to someone, when you get off the phone, you are so amped up and it just reassures, let's go. Fight all the negative noise out there. Fight all the bullshit that you hear from everybody else. And talk to the person who is worried about trying to better themselves and add value to other people or whatever that may be. They're not worried about what other people think. They're not worried about judging what others are doing. They're worried about bettering themselves. And I'm telling you, just go reach out and connect and have those conversations. Get out of your comfort zone. You will better yourself every time. So the 5 ways to create your way of being around the average of 5 awesome people you spend the most time with is 1, podcast, 2, books and audiobooks, 3, social media, making the smart decisions and using it to your advantage, 4, going to meetup events and conferences that are going to be topics that you are interested in, finding those like-minded people, and 5, reaching out to people to actually connect and have phone conversations with or get coffee. And with podcast number 1, also, you can put blogs in there because there are some great blogs too. And here's a bonus one. Even if you don't want to approach it the way I did or a lot of people do, there's a ton of people, I'd say probably the majority of people, start a blog or a podcast for fun. If you do that, then you can start connecting with awesome people. And now you have a reason why, because you can interview them for your podcast or blog. That's the way to be able to connect with people who are on a different level than you. So that's a little bonus one. But those 5 that I just mentioned, you can implement those into your life right now. It doesn't take money. It doesn't take, maybe conferences takes a little money, but still meetup events. It doesn't take money. It doesn't take being more talented than anyone else. It doesn't take having great connections. Nope. You can do every single one of those right now. And that's how you start surrounding yourself every day, constantly, with amazing people who are going to push you to better yourselves. And that is going to wrap up Path Minutes for this week. Thank you so much. And again, if you want to follow me on Instagram, Sean_Seacrest, put that in the show notes. That will be every day posting things that add value for you. If you want to reach out to me, Sean@ubpath.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram or whatever, LinkedIn, Sean Seacrest. I love when people reach out. I can't tell you how much it means to me, and I love to get any feedback or any suggestions, so feel free to reach out. And with that, I want to say enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you next time here on The Unbeaten Path.